Good morning, JA Biztown. My name is Amy Densbar, and I'm the Education Specialist for SWACO. I help to educate the public about the importance of recycling and protecting our planet through safe disposal. Each and every single one of you have the important job to make a difference. And we're going to talk about some of those ways that you can get involved to help keep your planet beautiful. First of all, I wanted to provide a brief overview about what we do at SWACO. So SWACO stands for the Solid Waste Authority of Central Ohio. It was established in 1989, and it really is to ensure safe disposal as well as to keep materials out of the landfill. So we do that through recycling and through composting. The landfill is where all your materials go once they go into the trash can, and we're going to talk more about that. And we service about 1.3 million people here in Franklin County. So we just mentioned the landfill. How much material do we receive every single day at the Franklin County landfill? We receive about 4,000 tons of what I call wasted materials. The reason why I call it wasted materials is because a lot of the materials that people put in the trash can, they don't actually belong there. They could have been recovered through recycling or composting instead. Because it's hard to visualize how much space 4,000 tons takes up, I like to compare it to the weight of an elephant. So put those thinking caps on and start thinking about how many elephants you think 4,000 tons is equal to. Is it 10? Is it 20? Is it 150? It's in the hundreds. You got your guess? It's roughly 800 African gray elephants coming to the landfill every single day. That is a lot of trash, my friends. And so this is what we call our sanitary landfill. There's a really sophisticated level of engineering that goes into creating these sanitary landfills because they're designed to keep people and the environment safe. This is what a picture of a new cell looks like. So it hasn't started accepting the wasted materials yet. This next image here is one of all of the components brought together. So I don't expect you to interpret and understand all of this, but this is just a very high overview of what it takes to manage a landfill. And you can see here 70% of the materials that come to the landfill could have been recovered through recycling or composting instead. They don't truly belong in the landfill. So these are going to be things like plastic bottles, cardboard, paper, things of that nature. So every single one of you has the opportunity to make a difference by reducing, reusing, and recycling every single day. The more we reuse our materials and recycle what we can't reuse, the better for our planet. Does anyone ever look at the bottom of the plastic containers when they use one, like a plastic water bottle or a shampoo bottle? Does anyone ever notice they have the recycling arrows on them, something similar to this? A lot of people use that as a reference to know if that means it's accepted for recycling. Well, unfortunately, that's not really a good way to know if you can put that material in the recycling bin. So instead, what you need to look at is the shape of the material, the shape of the plastic material in particular. So if you guys look at everything on the left here, that's highlighted under recycle, this is everything that you can put in a recycling bin at your house if you live in Franklin County. So paper and cardboard, plastic bottles and jugs, glass bottles and jars, metal cans, cartons, and then we want to keep everything loose. We do not want to put them in plastic bags. Those plastic bags are a big no-no for the facility. They actually can harm the equipment and gum up their machines and shut them down. So every kind of paper and cardboard product is accepted. That even includes those toilet paper rolls and paper towel rolls. When it comes to plastics, it's only the bottleneck containers and jugs. So what that means is the containers that have a wider base than top, okay? So as the containers are going to the top, they're getting smaller or skinnier, if you will. So they have to have this neck shape at the top. That's the shape the container has to be in, and we'll talk about why here shortly. All glass bottles and jars are accepted. It does not matter the color. Metal cans, aluminum cans, soup cans, and then even aerosol cans if anyone in your house uses hairspray. Cartons for juice and milk and broth are accepted. Take the lid off if you can remember, and then put them in the recycling bin loose. Everything on this right side here is not accepted for recycling. So you may be looking at these cups and these yogurt containers thinking, well, they have that number on the bottom, Amy, why aren't they accepted? So it's truly only the bottleneck containers and jugs. Those are manufactured in a different way. They're produced in a different way, and they have different chemical properties. So when we go to melt down the plastic bottleneck containers, the ones that are in this bin here, these have a different melting point than your plastic clamshells and your plastic forks and knives. What that means is when we go to melt them down, they don't melt at the same exact point in time. Has anyone ever done that experiment with oil and water before? What happens when you mix oil and water? They don't mix together, do they? They stay right on top of each other. That's very similar to what happens when we try to melt all these plastics together, is they don't all melt back together at the same point in time, making it really hard for the company that's buying our mixed plastics to then make them into a new product. Some of you already kind of have an idea about why we recycle. The more we recycle, the less material that has to go to the landfill, right? Saving us valuable landfill space. But what are some other benefits of recycling? This infographic here is kind of giving you a clue. When we recycle, we are saving energy. So the amount of energy that we can save from producing one can from recycled content compared to that of like its raw virgin material, which is called bauxite ore, is enough. It can save enough energy to power our TV for 2 hours. Within 60 days of you putting your aluminum can in the recycling bin, it is back on the shelf for somebody else to enjoy. And not only can aluminum cans be made into more cans, but it also can be made into parts of school buses and airplanes. Pretty neat if you ask me. So I wanted to take a moment and show you guys a video of what happens when we put recyclables in our recycling can, where they're picked up by a truck and where they go to be sorted. This is called a materials recovery facility. So there you have it. Now you know what happens when we recycle, where it goes to be sorted and processed. It's not just machinery that has to do it, but also manual labor from people that are hand picking out the different materials. And then they turn them into bales and they sell them to end users that are going to buy those products, buy those raw materials, and make them into new products. And we're going to talk a lot more about what we can make out of our recycled materials. So far we've talked a lot about recycling, and most of the waste that we produce could have been avoided to begin with. So why is that important? Well, every good we buy requires natural resources to manufacture, which produces some type of pollution. So the less we consume and the more we reduce and reuse, the more positive of an impact we can have on our environment. If you're inspired by these ideas and want to help build a stronger local economy and a healthier community, There are a few easy steps you can take. First, you need to reflect and audit yourself by looking at your landfill bin and asking what could have been avoided or recycled instead. And then reduce. So switch from drinking bottled water to drinking water from the tap. You don't produce as much waste. Swap reusable towels for the paper towels that might be in your kitchen. And then next up, we want to reuse. If you have the ability to go to a thrift store and purchase clothes that have already been created and find ways to reuse old clothes from making blankets or converting into rags, that's much better for the environment. And then lastly, we've got to recycle and compost what can't be avoided. And then repeat. Like everything in life, living a more sustainable life is a work in progress. Do not be too hard on yourself and take small steps to ensure that those changes can stick. Our community and economy is transitioning from a model where we extract resources, meaning we take them and we make them into goods. And then once we consume the goods, we then dispose them into a landfill, losing those valuable resources because they're just going to the landfill. And what we're doing is we're shifting more towards what we call a circular or renewing economy. This economy works for the people and the planet. In a circular economy, there is no waste. We at no point in this ever take the materials and put them in a landfill. They continue to go around and around and around. At all stages of the design stage, the materials should be able to return either back into the soil safely, or they should be recycled and they should be recycled indefinitely, excuse me. In a lot of ways, waste is just kind of a design flaw. Many cutting-edge companies are already embracing the circular economy model, and we will go over some examples shortly. So now I'm going to switch gears a little bit and help you think about what kind of awesome jobs are in the field of building a more circular economy and turning that waste into resources. A great place to start is by considering what you are passionate about. What do you like to do in your spare time? What topics do you find yourself talking about the most with your friends or Googling about? You've got to follow your passion. If you love fixing things and solving problems, you can engineer new systems and goods in line with the circular economy. For example, the Honda manufacturing facilities in Ohio are zero waste. What that means is less than 1% of the materials from their factory end up going to the landfill. That's really, really impressive. You could also figure out a way to turn ocean plastic pollution into cool new shoes like these from Adidas. People are behind these cool products and systems, and that person could be you designing them. So we're going to watch a quick video about Adidas turning ocean plastic pollution into a pair of shoes. All right, so that's just one idea of technology working in our favor to support sustainable materials management and reuse the materials that have already been made on this planet. So maybe you're not interested in that. Maybe instead, if technology and design isn't your thing, but you love communicating and teaching others, you can get paid to educate. This may include educating people about recycling and composting like I do, or you can even become an influencer, like this woman here on the right. She's a spokesperson for the movement of zero waste. She tells her story through multiple mediums, Instagram, and this is her life. In 1 year, she created this amount of trash in a small little jar. Obviously, that is hard to do, but she is sharing her story about how you can get involved. And lastly, there are tons of companies that are making money while creating a more sustainable world. Consider how you might create materials and packaging inspired by designs in nature. A company called Ecoveda found a creative way to build packaging material from mushrooms. That's right, mushrooms. Instead of using styrofoam, which is unnatural and can never fully go back into nature. Another good example is Woodsy. They are a company that makes cool sunglasses from recycled skateboards. If you have a creative idea like this, you should be an entrepreneur and create your own company. You can always join a company that is already embracing the circular economy, ideas like Patagonia. Patagonia actually has a campaign where they help fix people's clothes that tear or break instead of encouraging them to buy new. So this is a great example of how a circular economy works, by repairing and reusing the materials that we already have. All right, thank you so much for your attention today, JA Biztown campers. I hope you feel inspired to make a positive difference in this world. Have a great rest of your camp. Bye-bye.